So next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Doug Schardt from Komori America. We'll be talking about solder paste bump size and minimum solder paste bump size using Gravure offset printing.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Doug Schardt. I work with Komori America Corporation. We're an equipment manufacturer. We do kind of two lines of equipment. One's the typical screen equipment for PCB applications, vacuum coaters, things like that. But another line we manufacture is Gravure offset. And that's really more or less the subject that I'm going to focus on today. And it's specifically with respect to the minimum bump size we can produce with that. Now, in looking at this on all the things Gravure offset can do, it's like, why pick this type of research to do? And that's kind of the beginning of the presentation. Then I'll get into a little bit about how Gravure offset works and why it does what it does. And then I'll finally, at the end, get into the procedures and the results we've got for that minimum bump size printing. So the first section is why this research? And I have a perspective on this that is, I look at the industry trends, or at least as I see them now, and then the manufacturing techniques that are being used today and probably will be used coming up in the future, and then the expanded requirements. And these mean different things to me in my head about the applications in the industry. So I'll explain when I get to the slide. But with respect to industry trends, this is how I see it today. Next month, I might have a different list, but there's a continuing drive towards miniaturization, smaller, more powerful. And then the next point is flexibility, even getting down into flexibility of the actual components themselves. There's an increasing use of HDI. Micro mini LEDs are coming on strong, and they're continually improving. And then obviously the transition of the semiconductor packages. Now, this is the first slide that all these points you're going to see again in another couple slides. But I do this because as I see the group here today, you're kind of the tip of the spear. There's a whole spear behind us. And that's why I have this almost the exact same list listed on another slide, because the perspective is different from those two different segments of the industry. So I address them as separate, even though the listing is the same. So with respect to the manufacturing techniques, obviously additive is what we're all talking about today, but subtractive is the predominant in the market for what's being produced out there today. So there'll be a lot of exposure for that market to what we're doing here today and what we're talking about over the coming years. And the additive has a lot of attractions. And I've talked to quite a few of the subtractive manufacturers about additive. And they can see it and they can feel it coming, but they're just not ready to get there yet. And that's why these shows and the trade shows and the technical presentations are so important. So this information not only can stay up on this level, but it can gravitate down towards the other manufacturers. But obviously lower cost is a big deal. Higher productivity, and that's not a guarantee of higher productivity, but it's looking that way. Environmentally, there'll be a lot of benefits in terms of the caustic chemicals that are being used currently. And then obviously the drive for finer features and better performance. It's all kind of on the horizon. So this is that duplicate slide where I said the points are going to echo. I changed the words a little bit just so it didn't sound so repetitious. But the expanding requirements are just the same as the industry trends. It's just the state of the perspective. For the people that are already doing things like HDI and MLCC and micro mini LEDs, they're going to be looking at, how do I get better? How do I improve? How do I even go faster, cheaper, whatever? But there's a whole bunch of people behind us that'll be saying, how do I get into this? So their perspective will be different, even though the words are going to be the same. So right now we're tending to, at least our company's tending to look at the application of Gravure offset with chiplets and panels and things like that. But there's a lot of things that can be done with this equipment. So we just chose this one for the subject of this presentation. And even with that, with the